So hello guys, and in this video I'll be making a retirement brochure cover for my father. And many people don't know that I use CorelDraw as well. Yeah, I do use CorelDraw, and here's me working on the background. I tried to create something that has depth, so I took that image with the walls going deep down to that particular passage, and then I brought this we like call that tiger like patterns to make the floor have a that sort of pattern. Well, I adjusted the transparency so that it flows seamlessly, and that is me trying to create it. Then I've turned it upside down, and then the next if you see, I usually switch between windows, so I have the Photoshop flyer design already. I didn't want to create anything too far from it, so this background was also in the Photoshop flyer design, as you can see over there. And I also blurred that particular background a little, not as much as the Photoshop. Then here is me trying to put the text. Started writing the text. I was a bit confused on whether to make it all caps or small letters, but I finally decided that I will leave it that way and let the font which I will use do the work. So I'm here indecisive of the font I would choose, and I finally settled for this font, but that won't be for long because I later changed it. However, it's still the font. Then I started arranging them in where they should be and making sure that the texts are well tracked and kenned. Is it? Yeah, tracking and kenning. And I'll put the description of tracking and kenning by the side over there. Then I put the title I wanted, Happy Retirement Daddy. This is my father is a man of God, a pastor, and he has worked in Assemblies of God Church for over not over 70, oh Jesus, over 40 years now, I think. And he'll be retiring this year. He's 70 years of age this year. So we are planning the retirement. Probably by the time you are seeing this video, the retirement is still on the plan. And if you happen to see this video and you are around, you are invited. Yeah, you are invited. I would love to see you. But if by the time you are seeing this video the date had already passed, then you probably missed on the delicacies that we enjoyed on that day. So here I'm trying to separate the daddy from the retirement so that they have a distinct feature. Then I didn't bother creating a new date and time tabs. I just selected the one I used for the flyer in Photoshop, exported it as PNG, gave it a name, put it in my assets folder, and just found it and placed it there as an image. So that was what I did here, and that was me struggling on where exactly to place it. But as you can see at the end of this video, I finally made up my mind on where to place it. The next thing was to write his name and give it the position where it to be. So I wrote it and kept it over there. Now the next was, I took these colors because I'll probably be needing them, so I took them as a color scheme and placed it in CorelDraw. Next was the address. So here is the address. You already have the date, you already have the time, and now is the address. If you happen to watch this video before November 23rd, 10 a.m., you can actually start coming now, or plan to come. But if you missed it, then maybe I will show you a video of us enjoying ourselves. But this channel is not about that. You might see that video on my TikTok channel, U-Graffix. Yeah, the same U-Graffix on my TikTok, where I discuss most of those discussions that you see me post on here. I have plenty, many more of such videos on my TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok and you would love to follow me on TikTok and you're on TikTok, I would love to see you there as well. Now, as you can already imagine, design is not a one-off thing. You don't just start and go straight to your destination. you go through many back and forth, left and right. So that is what I'm doing here, and I'm trying to create a floor tile with the name, but for some reason I didn't know why I slanted it, so I undid and started again and started placing it. And for some reason again I couldn't get the base because I didn't put a ruler to give me a mark, so I undid yet again and then placed a ruler to give me a mark of where to keep the base. And then I started stretching and adding the perspective to it, and this was how it came out. So making sure everything is all in line. Now this is how it came out, and I power clipped it into the main page. Next step was to select the pictures. This is me and my siblings, and yeah, so I will take this picture. Is already cropped, so just save it as a PNG because Photoshop has that feature while CorelDraw will not allow me to just drag and drop it without giving it its own white background. So that was what I did, saving it as a PNG. And if you are hearing noises, probably it's my fan in the background, but I hope it's not loud enough to cause distraction. Now I thought that this would be my main image for this design because that was the main image in the flyer, but as you saw in the cover, it wasn't. But what happened with this image, I decided to add another extra image to it, make it 2 images. Why not? So I took this one, separated it from the background, made sure that the edges are well separated. That's what I'm doing here with my quick selection tool and my marquee selection tool. So I use the quick selection here, and I'm using the lasso tool, sorry, not the marquee tool. So I'm using the lasso tool to make fine selections. Yeah, here the lasso tool comes. Make fine selections and do the same for the other side of the picture. And when I'm making fine selections, I make fine selections. Everything is considered. Everything, nothing is left out, which is as it should be. Man, narrating this video after making the video is not something easy, but so far I've not made any mistake. I have not done a second recording. This is the first take, this is the single take, and this is how it will go till the end. So I placed the images, and this is me working on the opacity and transparency. Yeah, Photoshop will call it opacity, but in CorelDraw it's called transparency. So if you increase the opacity, it is more visible. If you increase the transparency, it is more hidden. I'm using this option of transparency. Then I got a brilliant idea in my brain to move the name around, but at the end of the day I felt it was still lacking something, so I added a background behind the name, and this is me trying to make sure it is in front, but for some reason I keep on selecting something else. So finally I figured out how I must do it, and at the end of the day I said, okay, you know what, that thing I did, I don't need it. I will take it back to where it was before. And that is the beauty of design. You just keep on going back and forth till you are done. And this is the final part of making the final adjustments, and this is the final part of this design. So part 2 is loading.
Previously on making a brochure design.
So I took that image with the walls going deep down to that particular passage. Then I put the title I wanted, Happy Retirement Daddy. So here I'm trying to separate the daddy from the retirement so that they have a distinct feature. Was how it came out. So making sure everything is all in line. Now this is how it came out. So I'm using the lasso tool to make fine selections. Yeah, here the lasso tool comes. Make fine selections and do the same for the other side of the picture. If you increase the opacity, it is more visible. If you increase the transparency, it is more hidden. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and it's good to have you back as well. What can I say? In this episode, I'll be doing a bunch of settings and preparations for the rest of the brochure designs. And the first thing I'm doing is the page numbers. So I added the page numbers and chose a font and font size for it. This will help me so that it's going to automate the whole page numbering system. I also added margins. That's what I'm doing here, adding margins to the design so that I don't go beyond the margins, except maybe for the page and some other essential things, but the main content will remain within the margin. And as I love doing my thing, I didn't just leave the page numbering empty. I added some style to it, and like I said, this will replicate on other pages. It will replicate on other pages. Once you've done this, the setting helps me to replicate it on every other page, which means that if I add another page, it's going to automatically add a page number with this same design I'm making around the pages. So I don't need to repeat this process, I don't need to copy and paste anything, and it keeps the workflow smooth for me. So that is what I'm currently doing right now, and I had a bunch of confusing time trying to choose what I wanted, and at the point I decided, okay, this would go. It was like an on button, but then I decided, okay, if it's an on button, why not just make it bigger on button, like a toggle or a switch, if you get what I mean. And that is what I did, and it came out this way. So now, adding another page, I decided to also do something different for the odd numbers, while I've done something for the I decided to do something different for the even numbers, sorry. While I had already done something for the odd numbers, I copied the same setting I used for the even numbers and just replicated it on the odd number side, changed a little thing, and that was it. So this is me changing the size and then the color, placing it where it should be for the odd numbers, copying the whole setup and placing it for the even number as well. And I changed it so that the odd number will be on the left, the even number will be on the right. Did that make sense? No, the odd number is going to be on the left, right? Well, for the booklet, we'll see that. I think the odd number should be on the left. So adding pages, as you can see, as the pages are increasing or decreasing, you see the whole thing changing accordingly. And that is what we find in this design here. Then secondly, I started creating placeholders for essential dignitaries that will grace the occasion. I was making something like this, and something occurred to me. If I make it similar to my page numbering, that would make sense, right? So I did exactly that. Not exactly similar, but something really close. And I created this little shape, whatever it's, I don't know what to call it, but you're gonna see how it works. So I power clipped the image inside the shape. Here we go. Having it was too tight, so I had to copy the color and paste on the shape there, and then found the transparency so that it's going to match very well, and you will not see where the whole thing blended in. So that was what I did over here. As you can see, it doesn't look like, it just looks continuous, like it was the same background that he was. Then I placed his name down as well on the design, his name and position. He's the General Superintendent of Assembly of God Church, Nigeria, Reverend Professor Paul Emeka, sorry. Then after that, I decided to look for a shadow effect I will put on that tab where their names are. And while I was doing it, I discovered that I was doing it on the wrong page, which was wrong, obviously. Then I switched to the next page, seeing that I was actually doing it on every odd page or every even page in Photoshop. Sorry, in CorelDraw something is called master. Forgive me, I'm majorly a user of Photoshop, so it could just pop out from my mouth now and then. So I placed it on the page that it should be, and then arranged the name and designation properly. This is a repeated process, and I did the same for every whole thing. I did the same for every whole thing. I'm still adjusting the page shadow here, and after that I took a background, placed it, and kept it behind them, power clipped it into the page itself, so that at the end it's going to look something like what we'll see shortly. Next was to repeat the same process for the second person, and it's obviously predictable right now, knowing what I'm gonna do. So I repeated the same process, changed his name appropriately, and his designation appropriately as well. And here we go, Reverend Emmanuel Ngene, Enugu District Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Nigeria. And there you have it. Copied, pasted, multiplied it across borders and across pages, and repeated the same process for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth dignitary. And when I'm done, I'll come back to see you soon. And finally, I got to the last one. Wow. I'm glad I didn't make you see all those whole repetitive process, and as a result made this video even shorter than I expected it to be. For the next of the episodes, I'll be doing the rest of the pages, and this is the final part of this video I made today. Please do well to like and subscribe, and if you missed the previous episode, it's going to be coming up next on your screen, and I'll be glad that you watched it. See you in the next one. Goodbye.
Previously on making a brochure design.
It for the even number as well, and I changed it so that the odd number will be on the left, the even number will be on the right. Copy the color and paste on the shape there, and then found the transparency so that it's going to match very well, and you will not see where the whole thing blended in. So that was what I did over here. Repeated the same process for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth dignitary. This is the final part of this video I made today. Behind the scene, I did a little adjustments and formatted the pages in the way that the even pages, or the sheets that will be on the left hand side, will have the purple numbering and purple slanted border. Is that a slanted border? And then the sheet on the right will be having the gold side at the edge. And then I started with order of service. I know this narration is quite off from what you just saw in the video. Please bear with me. There is a lot I did in this video that it will be too long to narrate, and this video took hours to make. I'm just trying to summarize everything I did and show you the most important things in the design. So for the order of service, I chose some nice fonts for it and found a perfect position for it, which I thought this would have been the perfect position for it at first, but then I thought wrong, changed my mind, and changed some other things in the font and positioning as well. We will agree that choice of fonts can sometimes be confusing in designs like this, where you're necessarily not going to be using one font all through. You're allowed to change fonts, tweak it, but in everything you should still make it professional. But when I chose my font, I set up the order of service and arranged it in this format that I think it was best for it. Next was to make sure that everything is correct, because there were some changes that were sent to me and I had to implement those changes as well. So I did those changes and also corrected the grammatical and spelling errors of the whole write-up. This is going to be a repetitive process here, because while this was being sent, I don't think much attention was paid to making the corrections. But even at that, it's always good that two people judge and make sure that things are as correct as they should be. And that is exactly what I was doing here. Even though the first writer might have made some corrections, adjustment to his own eyes, I would also be beneficial to the whole process if I also make my own corrections, because I might see something that they themselves didn't see. It's quite windy here and the breeze is blowing. The weather is getting towards the end of the year. The harmattan is out, so you might be hearing some, my window, my blinds, they might be making some noise, so please bear with me on that. Next was the congregational hymn. I set that up and it was simple. It has already been typed. All I had to do was to place the formatting well so that it fits into the design like glove fits on a hand. Of course, I would make the chorus of the hymn to be bolder so that everyone will know it's chorus. You don't necessarily need to write chorus anymore on such. If you just make it bold, by sense everyone will know that that is chorus. And if anyone does not know, he can ask those that know, right? Yeah, they should. So no need. I stretched it out to fill in the page because there was nothing else that would be on that page. So we have our congregational hymn set, order of service set, and next was the autobiography. But before I went into that, I discovered that there was still a space left for the officiating ministers. I needed to put the officiating ministers before the autobiography, if that made sense, and that was what I did. So I copied the congregational hymn into a new page so that I will maintain the format of the whole setup, and then copied the text for the officiating ministers. And of course, there will be some corrections, there will be some editings, there will be some adjustments, which you will be seeing right now. So I changed the font back to what it was or what it should be. I found out that this particular font does not remain if I ask the software to maintain my fonts and formatting. It changes it to something that I don't like, and it's made me always come back to change it. I corrected that within the video by changing my font to something different, but I didn't touch this one. So I just formatted this one, separated every dignitary by his position and whatever post he holds or she holds, and made sure that they were distinct and not packed together. And after that, I also started making sure that their names were emphasized with bolder fonts than the rest. So that was what I did, and I repeated the same process for the whole names of everyone that was mentioned in this list. Then beside I added the planning committee lists and their positions as well. And also, when I was done with that, separating it, formatting it as it should be, arranging the whole design as it should actually be, I also added the master of ceremony. One of the important things about design is decision making, and in decision making you consider a lot of things. You consider the readability, the audience that will read it actually, the audience that you're making it for, the age of the people that you're making it for as well, because there are some kind of ways you will make designs and it will look too young for some people or too little for some people. It will go beyond their heads. It will not be something that they can understand, and there's a way you make the design, it will not be appealing for others. So I try to balance it all here, saying that the demography of people that will be coming for this event is mainly people beyond their 20s, people beyond their ages of 20s. So I went from the youth pop, so something youthful to something more mature was the essence of this design. Now you're seeing the bar there, trying to separate the different sides of that same page, keeping one in the gold bar and keeping the other one in the white bar. But after some readjustments, I discovered that something was off, so I changed the color of that gold bar to match the purple. But if it was too much purple, it would be somehow, so I reduced it by reducing the opacity. Next was the autobiography. Now there is a confession I will make here. This autobiography will not come out the way you are seeing it right now. Not that there will be major changes, but there will be a few changes. When I was creating the pages, I made sure that the side with the gold edge is on the right side, so that when you are on that page, the next thing you should do is to flip the whole paper to see the next page, and the side with the purple edge is on the left. So if you open the sheet like a booklet, you will see the purple edge on your left side and you see the gold edge on your right side. So while I was creating this, I thought, well, if the autobiography started on the right and ended on the left, it will look awkward, won't it? It's better it starts from somewhere you can read from left to right without having to flip any page. So that was what I did, but before then I had to set up this whole topic area or subheading part of the design. I brought in this image, this vector image here, to add some more life and style to the whole design itself. And here is me trying to style it at where it will fit in. As you can see, I have no pre-planned idea of, or the finished idea of what I want to make, but at least I know where I was going and I knew how to get there. Just that I needed some trials and iterations. So that was just what was going on. It's very normal in designs to do some back and forths and changes, and that's why clients should not think that when a design is sent to them, the whole thing was just done in one step. There is a lot of changes, there are a lot of considerations, and that's why sometimes when you bring suggestions as a client and the designer tells you this cannot work, he has probably tried it and it didn't work. At least for that design, you might have seen it elsewhere where it worked, but for your designs, madam, it wouldn't work. Now I was creating the columns, which again was not how it came out. Yeah, forgive me. But this was what I created for now, so I'll be showing you what it later turned out in the next slide.
6.5 hours later.
And yes, this was what later happened. So I finally readjusted it, changed the page. I didn't change the page settings, I just changed the positions of some things. The officiating minister would now come after the autobiography. I think that was what I did. We'll find out, please. So I changed the whole thing, and then the autobiography is this. So we have the back or the end of the autobiography and also the front of the autobiography, which you just saw. Then I forgot to record while I had already put the felicitations or goodwill messages of my siblings, my elder brother, me, and my younger sister, the three of us. Yeah, rest in peace, mommy. So I did that, and then I added some other family member that also sent her own felicitation, my mom's younger sister, our auntie Goodness. Very, very nice lady. Well, it's well. Okay, I edited her contents. I've not added a picture, obviously, and I have the way I do my things. When I'm bringing this brochure, I collected them in a drive. I made people send it, fill it in a form, Google form, and send it. And then I collected it and whichever one I was done with, I colored the whole column yellow so that I will know that I was done with that. So you'll be seeing yellow flashes on your screen as I am picking these messages to send to put in the design. As I'm picking these messages sent to put in the design, as you can see that particular one. So that was how it all went, and after putting her name, I now also wrote the font correctly. Now I've already changed font, obviously. Next thing I did was the obvious, to put her picture. Like you can see now, that part is in yellow, so I had already done that one. So I clicked on the link of her own work. I also changed it to yellow because I already done it, and then downloaded her picture, found the folder where it was in, and brought it into the whole design. Placed it where it should be, adjusted it to fit in well, and then I put it there. Also did some little image adjustments to the image so that it does not appear bad while printing. And I'm sure the printers would also do theirs if there is need for that. Next was to find a particular place, because everyone, I believe, should have a topic on their own message. But for some people that didn't send their topic, what I did was to pick a phrase. You will see that also in another content, in another message I will put here. So I'll pick a phrase in their message and use that as the heading. So I read these messages and pick the phrases that I think matches the whole message, and I will put it in the heading as the heading of the message. There's a lot of messages going on, and obviously copy, paste, find another design, use it on the pasted one. So I copied the previous one I did with my sister that my sister sent, and pasted it on the next page. Found the next message after I searched to see if there were other family members that sent. While that has been exhausted, I now added every other person from the first person that sent down to the last person that sent, and that is exactly what I was doing here. Editing, adjusting, just the same repetitive, boring stuff. So in order not to bore you, I will be seeing you when I'm done with this particular setup. Also, like the previous one, this one didn't also come with a header, so I picked a phrase and created a header. It also didn't come with any picture, so I deleted the picture that was there. Now I placed it on one side of the page on a column, thinking that that was the best option. Then I went on to the next. I obviously, of course, picked her name before I did that, and then I went on to the next, right? Okay, I'm still adjusting. Then I went on to the next. Great. And as usual, I will copy a previous one, drop it, then pick the next one. Why I do this, so that I won't have the trouble of changing fonts over and over again. So I just change the first font, obviously, and then the remaining text maintains the same font that was used in the whole text. I only change font for the headings, but when I was doing that, I found out that this wouldn't fit in if I made it that way. And this was because although it fits in now, the text is too crammed in, and I'll need to adjust a lot of things. I'll need to add paragraphs to it. So I know that by the time I'm done with all those adjustments and adding paragraphs, it will cover up. So I needed to create that space for it, and that was what I did here. So there you go. Here you have it. It didn't totally fill it up, but I think it's quite better this way. I can actually give the other design a breathing space. So I marked it again, done. The next one was a poem. It was in a document and it came with a picture as well. I didn't add the picture initially, and I thought that would be the case, but I later added the picture later. Of course, this is the poem, so let's focus on that poem. Copied it. It was a long poem, and poems are written like music. You don't just write everything like a book or a sentence. So I did what should be done. I also changed the heading of that other one to make sure that it fits into where it should be. Then I copied the poem. This is where I'll be ending for today because this poem is quite a long one, and this video has already exceeded the time I expected it to be. So I'll be working on this poem in the next video, and I will show you what it turned out to be. So for now, this is the poem. This is me working on it, and I'm not sure if those hyphens between the God of my forefathers is correct, but I left it that way, changed the font, and I wasn't sure if the font that I later used retained it, but we'll find out as we are watching this video. So yeah, that will be coming up in the next episode because I am still struggling for fonts. So the previous ones are waiting for you, so if you haven't watched them, do well now to go and watch them. They'll be popping up as recommendations right now on this screen, and after watching that one, the one before that one will also pop out as a recommendation. So make sure you watch these videos to see the progress I made with this design. So see you soon. Like, share, comment if you love this video, and if you've not subscribed, please do well to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Previously on making a brochure design.
I stretched it out to fill in the page because there was nothing else that would be on that page. So we have our congregational hymn set, order of service set, and next was the autobiography. I finally readjusted it, changed the page. I didn't change the page settings, I just changed the positions of some things. The officiating minister would now come after the autobiography. This is where I'll be ending for today because this poem is quite a long one, and this video has already exceeded the time I expected it to be. So I'll be working on this poem in the next video, and I will show you what it turned out to be. Before we start, I thought of something, between the officiating ministers and every other thing and the goodwill messages. I felt there should be a page to indicate that we are about to enter into a new section, and that was what I did. So I created a separate page to place the goodwill message tablet or page, just a page dedicated to saying this is a goodwill message, or this section is now going to have goodwill messages. So I went to Photoshop and started. I picked the color of the gold I used, and then used this pre-made image of my dad and adjusted it in ways that it would blend in. Then I created the page, wrote goodwill message on it, made it bigger, and selected the font that should fit in. I was choosing fonts, I didn't know which one to go with, but I later chose something that was a bit comical and clear at the same time. So here is me choosing fonts. I saw the font I would use now, went back to it, and I felt it was good. Then I took it. I love the way it kind of broke some rules. As you can see, the I has a dot, while others are written in capital letters. The E as well is written in small letters, so it's just mixed. Then I brought this image that has paper, paper and feather pen, and placed it there. I was to use it, and because of the blue, I had to change the blending mode to something that will make that blue disappear the most. When I found this, I felt this was the best for it, but because of the lines still showing, I had to use the brush tool and clean those areas up so that it will stand alone on its own. Duplicated it, found more blending modes to work with, and later changed my mind, deleted the duplicate, and also finished up with the rest of the design. So here I'm trying to see if I can add some effect to goodwill message, but at the end I decided okay, this was okay, resized it, repositioned it, and kept it where it should be. Then I saved it in my assets folder, then took it to CorelDraw, placed it on that page. So after the officiating ministers, you see the goodwill message, and then you start seeing the goodwill messages. Then to continue with the goodwill messages, I added more messages from other friends and family members, organizations, church. You know how it goes. Resize it to fit, because this was 2 pages. I had to fit them into one, rotating it, and there was another one like that as well, 2 pages as well. But then I rotated this one the other way so that when you will be reading it, you can flip it that way and read it as well. I also made sure everything was the same size, so I just simply copied the size of the other one I did, pasted it on this one, and made sure it was the same size with it. I now resized it, placed it on where it should be beside its order. So we have this and we have that. That was the next page. Now, speaking of the poem, I told you I was going to show you how I later went about it in the next video. So here we go, let's start it up. I opened the file where it was, copied the whole write-up and pasted it in the new page, leaving the other area blank. I was going to be pasting something else there, a letter design. So I first tried making it on a column where it would be one side of the column and the other side of the column will be free for other messages, and it was all going good and fine. So I adjusted and wrote the title, copied everything necessary, made the formatting as it should be, creating spaces where there should be more spaces, paragraphs where there should be more paragraphs, making some lines bold text while the others were not bold text, just to make sure that it matches the format that the sender sent it in. Because if I don't do it that way, then of what use was she making it bold, adding the extra paragraphs and all that? So I made sure that it looked the way she sent it as well, except for the font, of course. When I was done with that, I added her name and resized it to where it would be, and more back and forth loading, of course. How will I place the name? Will it be in a box? Will it be underlined? Will it be in a curved rectangle or circular rectangle? What color will be the circular rectangle or the box? What if we make it black and the text white? What if we just make it a line? So many things going on in my head. At the end of the day, I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to be using any of this. So I kept it the way it was, just made it bold. Then I read through the poem to make sure that everything was good and fine as it should be. And I think everything was good and fine as it should be. Then the next thing was to add his picture, but there was no space to add it at first, I thought. So I just readjusted and went ahead to color that one that I have done it. I colored two because the person submitted twice, so I had to just color them both off since they were at the same time. And then I went back to the empty space that was free before and added the next felicitation or goodwill message. Now this whole thing is repetitive over and over and over again, so to not bore you so much, I'll be back when I'm done with this whole goodwill messages. Then on to the last part of the goodwill messages, I added these ones, although this was more of an adjustment to what was meant to be. I will show you how everything turned out at the end. But let's move on. I entered into the photo gallery section. I wanted to create something quite different from how photo galleries look on brochures like this in my country. I don't know for others, but then I've not seen something that different, so I wanted to be the one to make the difference here. So I started with this shape and then the circle in between, and then I added another circle to make it a little bit spaced out. So I was still trying to choose the size. After that, I added the circle I needed and added a square or a rectangle underneath the shape on top, and it kept on going well. I added yet another rectangle, but see, trust the process, trust me, this is going to come out well. And I also measured to make sure that the gaps are equal between each other. There are many ways to measure and align your stuff, but I like using that one just because I like using it. Yes. Then when I was done with this page, I moved on to the next page and created something quite different as well. So first of all, a big rectangle. Then I picked up my pen tool after thinking of which one to go for here. I picked up my pen tool and I created this curvy shape, duplicated it and adjusted the contour because I added contour to it, and then made sure that it was placed where I wanted, duplicated it even more, rotated it to the other angle, horizontal, right? Yeah, horizontal angle. Next step was to then separate the contour from the lines and also use the contour to create grooves between that shape. I'll come back, I'll show you how it later turned out, but you're going to love this. You're definitely going to love this, so please stick around and watch how it turns out in the end. I did the same process, but this time around with straight lines, and created other contours, or created another contour on this one and copied the size to the rest of the contours so that some don't look too fat and some look too thin. They have to be uniform, right? So I used a uniform contour spacing, and I also broke it apart from the shape or from the line, and then separated that line from the other shape, the underlying shape. I also added underline to this place, as you can see my arrow drawing that line, but I would come back to that later. I went to the other one, copied the same design, pasted it on the other page, flipped it up. That was what you saw. Then on the last page, I simply just made it plain rectangles so that people will not think like, okay, this guy has gone bonkers, he has forgotten how to do things naturally. No, I have not, obviously. I just felt, why do things naturally when there are other better ways to do things? Then I started placing the pictures. Placing the pictures wasn't a big deal. What was a big deal was finding the pictures to place at the same time, at that same point, because some of these things must come in a particular order. If you miss the order, you miss the order, you have to redo it. So I did a lot more back and forth. This picture with me and my dad is not where it's meant to be. I'm here that my brother and my dad is, but see what I just did. This is not what you will see when I'm done with this design. So what is even true? Then I placed my dad in the center, and also this same picture is not even the picture. Was it? I'm not I don't think it was the picture I ended up with. No, I don't think it was, but this is just to show you the process of what I did. And I'll be ending this video here, and I'll be doing a lot more placements behind the scene. So please do well to like, subscribe, comment. If you've not subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And there is a video that came before this one. Please go and watch that video, and I will see you in the next one. The last part is loading. Hope you are ready. Bye.
Previously on making a brochure design.
A bit comical and clear at the same time. So here is me choosing font. I saw the font I would use now, went back to it, and I felt it was good. Then I took it, copied everything necessary, made the formatting as it should be, creating spaces where there should be more spaces, paragraphs where there should be more paragraphs. It kept on going well. I added yet another rectangle, but see, trust the process, trust me, this is going to come out well. I went to the other one, copied the same design, pasted it on the other page, flipped it up. That was what you saw. Then on the last page, is not even the picture. Was it? I don't think it was the picture I ended up with. No, I don't think it was, but this is just to show you the process of what I did. And I'll be ending this video here, and I'll be doing a lot more placements behind the scene. This is the video where we come to the end of this series of design, and I really enjoyed myself doing this, showing you guys the whole process. So I'll be showing the whole process. So I'll be showing you the rest of the designs because I finished it. The work is done and finished, and I'm here to give you the reports, and it went great. I'll be going through into the full screen now, and I'll be going through the pages one after the other to show you everything. And this is the cover page. Down, if you open the page, you see the first page, of course, and when you flip over the second and the third page, you flip over again, you see the fourth and the fifth page, then you flip over. So that's how it goes, page after page. Created this, after which I created this, after which I created the autobiography pages, filled in the details, put in the officiating ministers and planning committee, and then went straight to the goodwill messages, where we had my other brother and me, my younger sister and my aunt, and every other person coming in with both letterheads and normal messages, all written and documented in this design. Then after that, this was the last goodwill messages. We entered into the photo memories, where we have the pictures. So this is me, my elder brother, my younger sister, and this are my parents, their wedding down to here. If you're wondering where is my mom in all this, she's late. She passed on May this year. May also rest in peace. Moving on. So these are the timelines. This is the family as it is, and more family members as it is, and family, friends, and people in the ministry, down to the last page. Not so many pages, just 24 pages of a brochure design, and that was the last of it all. Then you see I didn't show you the final cover page, which is this. I purposely didn't type any appreciation or whatsoever. I just, what's the enemy? Thanks for coming. Thank you for coming. And then back to the first design, the first page. I'll be showing you now every page. I think my phone distracted me, so my voice faded a bit in the background. I will show you now every page as it should be in the booklet. In this mock-up I'll be sharing with you now, and we start from this. So we have this as the booklet when it is closed, of course. Then we have the next one. When you open it, this is what you first see, and beside it, when you open this page, this place is blank, as you'll be seeing in the real life representation of this same stuff. So you flip it, you see the second and the third page. You flip it, you see the fourth and the fifth page, the sixth and the seventh page, the eighth and the ninth page, the 10th and the 11th page, the 12th and the 13th page, 14th and 15th page, 16th and 17th page, 18th and 19th page, 19th and 20th and 21st page, 22nd and 23rd page, and 24th page. Then the last, the back covers. So this was how the printout was. What a beauty. So this is the end of this series, and I'll be starting up a new series soon. Make sure you don't miss that. This one will also be interesting, and even more interesting than this particular one I just ended now. But before then, the videos of this whole booklet, the creation and everything, is in this channel. If you've not watched it, please do well to watch it, and I'll see you in the next one. Like, subscribe, and turn on the notification, and see you soon. Goodbye.